let me tell you something, and I want you to hear me deep, not just with your ears, but with your spirit. Because this right here, this is the part they don't teach you in school, the part folks don't put in the textbooks. You have to know your worth, not just guess at it, not just soar, and kinda believe in it on your good days. I'm talking about knowing it so well that it's stitched into the fabric of who you are. Because the truth is, if you don't know your worth, somebody else will decide it for you. And 9 times out of 10, they'll set it a whole lot lower than it ought to be. See, there's a world full of people who'll smile at you, pat you on the back, call you friend, and still try to get a discount on your soul. They'll act like your time isn't valuable, like your talents don't cost anything, like your loyalty is just part of the package deal. But let me tell you, your time is currency, your energy is treasure, your gifts are rare jewels, and you better start treating them like the precious things they are. People will try to convince you that wanting more makes you greedy, that standing up for yourself makes you difficult, that expecting respect means you're full of yourself, but that's a lie, that's manipulation in disguise. Knowing your worth doesn't mean you think you're better than anybody else. It means you finally realized you're not less than anybody else. There's a difference between humility and shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never built for you. There's a difference between being kind and being a doormat. I've seen too many good people, wear themselves out trying to keep everybody happy. They say yes when they want to say no. They stay silent when they ought to speak up. They bend over backward until they're bent out of shape. And all the while, the folks using them keep taking and taking like there's no end to the supply, but there is an end. And if you don't decide where that line is, you'll wake up one day empty, empty of joy, empty of peace. Empty of self-respect because you let people write checks with your life that your spirit couldn't cash. So let me ask you, what do you believe you're worth? Not in dollars and cents. I'm talking about the worth that can't be counted. The worth that's written on your soul, the worth that says, I deserve respect, I deserve honesty, I deserve love that doesn't come with conditions. I deserve to be heard. If you can't say those things yet, let me say them for you until you can. You deserve those things. Not because you're perfect, not because you've never messed up, but because you're human and being human is enough. Your mistakes don't decrease your worth. Your past doesn't erase your value. The times you stumbled don't make you worthless. You're not a product. You're not a convenience. You're not somebody's free emotional labor. You're a person. A whole, complex, brilliant person, and your worth isn't negotiable. You have talents that nobody else has in quite the same way. You have wisdom born from pain that taught you how to survive. You have laughter that lights up rooms. You have ideas that could change lives. Why should all of that be given away for scraps of attention or cheap praise? Why should you keep people around who only clap when it benefits them? Sometimes the only reason people stick close is because they know you're valuable. And as long as you don't know it, they get to keep cashing in on your ignorance, so it's time to wake up. It's time to remember who you are. Next time someone tries to make you feel small, stand up taller. Next time someone tries to lowball you, raise your price. Next time someone tries to guilt you into giving more than you want to give, look them in the eye and say, no. Because knowing your worth is the first line of defense against being used. And I don't care if it's in your job, your friendships, your relationships, your family, the principle is the same. If someone can't respect your worth, they don't deserve your presence. I'm not saying go through life with a chip on your shoulder. I'm saying go through life knowing you're not for sale, you're not a bargain bin, you're not a clearance rack. You're not a half-price deal, you are priceless, and the moment you believe that, everything changes. Because when you know your worth, you move different, you talk different, you walk into rooms different. You choose different people, you make different decisions, and suddenly all those folks who tried to use you, they'll either step up or step out, and either way you'll finally be free. Let me talk to you about something that a lot of people struggle with but don't want to admit. Boundaries. See, people throw that word around like it's easy, like it's just a matter of saying no once and everybody falls in line. But it ain't that simple, because the moment you start putting up boundaries, folks start looking at you funny. They start acting like you've changed, like you're selfish, like you think you're too good for them. But here's the truth, they liked it better when you didn't have boundaries. They liked it better when you said yes every time. When you picked up the phone at 3 in the morning, when you dropped everything to solve problems that weren't yours. When you gave and gave and gave, even when it left you drained and empty. People love the version of you that's easy to use. But I'm here to tell you, it's time to set boundaries without guilt. You don't owe the world an explanation for why you're protecting your peace. You don't have to write a thesis paper to justify why you're saying no. No is a complete sentence. Some people hear that and flinch because they've been trained their whole lives to think that love equals sacrifice. That being a good person means being available 24/7. That kindness means never disappointing anybody. But listen to me carefully. There's a difference between kindness and people pleasing. Kindness comes from love. People-pleasing comes from fear, fear of being rejected, fear of being alone, fear of someone talking bad about you. Fear that you won't be enough if you're not constantly doing for other people. I've been there. I know what it's like to carry the weight of everyone else's expectations on your back. To feel like you're not allowed to rest because somebody might need you. But let me ask you something, who's carrying you? Who's checking in on you to see if you're okay? Who's staying up late worrying about your peace of mind? Because if the answer is nobody, then you've got a problem. You've got to teach people how to treat you. And that starts with your boundaries. A boundary says this is how far you can go. A boundary says this is what I will and won't accept. A boundary says my time is precious and I'm not giving it away for free. But here's the part that messes people up. The guilt. The guilt is heavy. It sneaks up on you in the middle of the night, whispering that you're mean or cold or ungrateful. It tries to convince you that you're letting people down, but guilt is a liar. You're not mean for needing space. You're not ungrateful for wanting time to yourself. You're not selfish for refusing to be stretched thin just to keep everybody else comfortable. Let me tell you, there will always be people who want more than you're willing to give. You could bend over backward until your spine snaps, and it still wouldn't be enough for some folks. So stop trying to earn love by sacrificing yourself. When you set a boundary, people who love you will adjust. They might be surprised, they might have questions, but they'll respect you. People who only love your convenience, they'll get angry. They'll push back. They'll try to guilt you into going back to the old version of you, the one who kept quiet and gave everything. But that's how you know who's who. See, boundaries reveal the truth about who values you for who you are, and who values you for what you can do for them. I want you to remember something. You are allowed to protect your energy. You're allowed to say, I'm not available tonight. I don't have the capacity for that conversation right now. I wish I could help, but I can't. I need time for myself. You're allowed to step back from relationships that drain you. You're allowed to protect your mental health even if people call you difficult. Because you know what's really difficult, living a life where you're constantly exhausted, resentful, and burnt out because you were too afraid to say no. There's nothing noble about letting yourself be run into the ground. There's nothing holy about being a martyr for people who wouldn't do the same for you. And I know some folks are thinking, but what if they get mad? What if they leave? If someone leaves your life because you dared to set a boundary, then let them leave. Let the door hit them on the way out, because the people meant for you will stay. The people who truly love you want you healthy. They want you whole, they want you happy, so I'm here to tell you, stop apologizing for your boundaries. Stop explaining them. Stop feeling bad for having them. Your peace is not negotiable. Your sanity is not up for discussion. You deserve rest, you deserve respect, you deserve relationships that pour back into you the same way you pour into them. So stand firm, keep your head high, and don't let guilt trick you into giving away pieces of yourself that you need to keep. Let me tell you something real right now. Manipulation is one of the oldest tricks in the book. It's been around since the beginning of time. And the thing about manipulation is it doesn't always show up loud and obvious. It's subtle, it's slick. It's sweet words and soft smiles. It's guilt wrapped in a compliment. It's a favor that comes with invisible strings. And if you don't know how to recognize it, you'll find yourself dancing to somebody else's tune before you even realize the music is playing. People will play you if you let them, and the first step to refusing to be used is learning how to see it coming. You ever notice how some folks only call when they need something? They ain't checking in because they love you. They're checking in because they're running low on what you give. Could be money, could be time, could be your listening ear, could be your connections. But pay attention, because when your well runs dry, or when you say no, suddenly they got an attitude. Suddenly you're the villain, suddenly you're changing. That's manipulation. It's not always malicious, but that doesn't mean it's harmless. Because it chips away at you piece by piece until one day you wake up and realize you're living a life built around everybody else's needs except your own. People manipulate with guilt. After all I've done for you, I thought you cared. I guess I just can't count on you. They throw your loyalty in your face like a weapon. People manipulate with fear. If you don't help me, I don't know what I'm gonna do. You'll be sorry. Everybody's gonna think you're heartless. People manipulate with flattery. Nobody does it like you. You're the only one I trust. You're so good at fixing things. See how that works. They make you feel special, so you'll keep pouring yourself out for them. Listen to me. You are not obligated to trade your peace for somebody else's comfort. You have the right to pause and ask yourself, why is this person making me feel bad for saying no? Why is there always a price for my help? The second you start questioning the pattern, that's when you start breaking free. But breaking free ain't easy. Because speaking up takes courage. It's easy to stay quiet. It's easy to keep the peace. It's easy to pretend you didn't see what you saw or hear what you heard. But silence costs too much. If you don't speak up, you'll keep getting played. You'll keep getting drained. And pretty soon, you'll start to lose pieces of yourself trying to keep other people happy. Speaking up doesn't mean you have to scream. It doesn't mean you have to be rude. It means you stand your ground and tell the truth. It means you look somebody in the eye and say, I'm not comfortable with that. It means you say, I don't owe you that explanation. It means you say no. And let me warn you, some people will not like your voice. They've grown used to your silence. They've grown used to you rolling over, to you fixing everything, to you never making waves. So when you speak up, they'll accuse you of being difficult. Let them talk, because the moment you speak up is the moment you start taking your power back. People who care about you might be surprised when you set a boundary, but they'll respect it. People who were using you will be offended, because manipulation only works if you stay silent. You owe it to yourself to call things what they are, to name the games people play, to say, I see what you're doing, and I'm not going along with it, even if your voice shakes. Even if your heart pounds so loud you can hear it in your ears. Speak up anyway, because every time you speak up, you get stronger. You teach people how to treat you. You remind yourself that your feelings matter, your time matters, your energy matters. And that's how you stop being used, because manipulators hate the light. They thrive in confusion. They thrive in guilt. They thrive when you keep second guessing yourself, but the moment you start asking questions, the moment you start shining a light on the pattern, it loses its grip. People might call you sensitive, people might call you dramatic. Let them call you what they want. I'd rather be called sensitive than be used. I'd rather be called dramatic than be drained dry, because your peace is worth more than anybody's approval. And the truth is, people who can't handle your no were never really on your team in the first place. So pay attention, watch the patterns, listen to your gut when it starts whispering that something ain't right. And when the moment comes, speak up, because your voice is your power, and you were not put on this earth to be used. Let me tell you something that might save your life one day. Sometimes the strongest thing you can ever do is walk away. See, we grow up on these stories about loyalty, about sticking it out no matter what, about being the bigger person, about fighting for relationships, for jobs, for friendships, for family, and there's nothing wrong with loyalty. Loyalty is beautiful, it's powerful, but only when it's mutual, only when it's healthy, because loyalty that only flows one way is slavery. And I need you to hear me when I say, you were not born to be shackled to situations, people, or places that drain the very essence out of you. There comes a time when you've given all you can give, when the conversations go in circles, when apologies mean nothing because the actions never change. When your spirit feels heavy every time you step into the same room, you know that feeling I'm talking about. That tightness in your chest, that lump in your throat, that voice inside whispering, "This is not for me anymore." That voice is not weakness. That voice is wisdom, but we ignore it because we're scared. We're scared of being alone, scared of starting over, scared of what people will say. Let them talk, because the same folks telling you to stay stuck aren't the ones crying yourself to sleep at night. They're not the ones carrying the weight of disrespect. They're not the ones sacrificing their mental health for the sake of keeping the peace. Peace without honesty is just silent suffering, and let me tell you, there is no trophy for staying in a place where you're not valued. There is no medal for dying slowly in a situation that's killing your joy. You're allowed to walk away. I don't care how long you've been friends. I don't care how many years you've been together. I don't care how much time you've put into that job. Time invested doesn't mean you owe your future to the past. Some people stay because they're afraid to admit they made a mistake. But listen to me, walking away is not failure, it's freedom. It takes strength to look at a situation and say, this isn't serving me anymore. It takes courage to say, I deserve better than this. And I know some folks are thinking, but I don't want to hurt anyone. Let me ask you, what about you? Aren't you someone too? Don't you deserve kindness? Don't you deserve to protect your own heart? Because every day you stay somewhere you don't belong, you're hurting yourself. And sometimes the people you're afraid to walk away from already left you emotionally a long time ago. They're just still standing there physically, taking up space, draining your light, holding you back from what's waiting for you. Walking away doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't mean you wish them harm. It just means you're choosing yourself. You're choosing your peace. You're choosing your sanity. You're choosing your future. People will tell you to give it one more chance. Sometimes that's right. Sometimes people do change. Sometimes things get better. But other times, giving it one more chance is just giving it one more chance to break you. If you've said the same thing 100 times and nothing changes, it's not an accident, it's a pattern. And patterns don't break themselves. Sometimes the only way to change the story is to close the book and start a new one. And I know it's hard. I know it feels like your whole world will collapse if you walk away. But hear me, it's not the end. It's a beginning, because there's life on the other side of goodbye. There's laughter you haven't heard yet. Friends you haven't met yet. Opportunities you haven't seen yet. Peace you've never experienced because you've been too busy carrying weight that wasn't yours to carry. When you walk away from what's hurting you, you make space for what will heal you. When you walk away from disrespect, you make space for honor. When you walk away from confusion, you make space for clarity. I'm not saying it's easy. It might hurt like hell. You might cry. You might question yourself 1,000 times. You might lay awake at night wondering if you did the right thing. But one day you'll wake up and realize you can breathe again. You'll realize the world didn't end. You'll realize your spirit feels lighter because you finally chose you. So if you're standing at the edge trying to decide whether to stay or go, remember this: staying where you're miserable doesn't make you loyal. It makes you stuck. You are allowed to leave places where you are not loved, respected, or appreciated. You are allowed to choose yourself. You are allowed to walk away. Let me leave you with this. Life is too short, and your spirit is too precious to be wasted on people, places, and situations that drain you dry. Know your worth so deeply that nobody can discount it. Set your boundaries without guilt because your peace is not up for negotiation. Recognize manipulation for what it is and have the courage to speak up even when your voice shakes. And when it comes down to it, have the strength to walk away when necessary, because sometimes the door you close is the one that leads you to freedom. You were not put on this earth to be used. You were put here to live, to grow, to shine, to love, and to be loved in return. So stand tall, protect your peace, guard your energy, and refuse, absolutely refuse to be used. Thank you.